Hello, my name is Kelly Wickersham, and I volunteered at Hill Country Community Ministries at their thrift store, which is located in Leander, Texas. The mission and goals of this agency is with compassion and care, we affirm dignity through the provision of food, clothing, and advocacy for our community, while being good stewards of the resources entrusted to us. Our goal is to break the grip of hardship, hunger, and hopelessness by improving health and well-being of our neighbors. This agency addresses poverty and they really help ease some of the stress for people who are experiencing these financial hardships. And then I included the income eligibility guidelines, which for some of the services that this agency provides, the clients do have to qualify based off of these incomes. As for their services, they have the thrift store, which is pretty much like a regular thrift store. They have food, they have clothing and home goods, linens, a lot of stuff. And then for their food pantry services, these first two services are ones that they would have to qualify for. And then this last two that you don't have to qualify for. Anyone can come to these services. So the first one is a full service client order, which is a delivery service, and it includes a bunch of food items, and then also, depending on the availability during the time, it might include like blankets or hygiene products or pet food, or even a voucher for the thrift store. And then for the walk-in slash curbside monthly order, it is kind of similar to the first one. It's a little bit smaller of a pre-packed box of food, and then the only difference is it's not a delivery service. The client would have to come to the locations to pick up the items. And then the community cupboard is a food pantry that offers, bread, boxed foods, canned foods, fruits and vegetables, and they're open Monday through Friday, and anyone can visit, and they could visit every day if they needed to. And the last service is that they offer is the Fresh Food for All, which is like a farmer's market, and they have it at different locations during the month, and they just bring fresh produce to the community. As for the agency's funding, a lot of it comes from donated goods and services, and then contributions from the churches, local businesses, civic groups, or individuals that help out the agency. And then also a good portion comes from grants and then their thrift store revenue, which actually $2 of every purchase at the thrift store is used for other services in the agency. And then also the agency is a nonprofit private organization. As for networking, the agency does network with other like donation intake centers. One that they promote a lot is the Austin Diaper Bank. They ask for anyone who can or wants to donate diapers to our thrift store, and then they will then take it to the Austin Diaper Bank. And then also any of our donations that we receive that we don't end up selling in the thrift store, we donate those to other donation intake centers, like the Salvation Army, for example. And one gap in the system that I noticed while doing all of my research and everything was the difference in family spending and how like a set income wouldn't work for every family. Our book actually gave an example of this, and they compared healthy family of four versus a family of four, which may be dealing with illnesses. Their spending is going to vary, depending on their situation, and having a set income doesn't always take into account of those extra spendings that a family might have, you know. They might be over that income requirement, but they don't have enough money for food. And my specific responsibilities at the thrift store were mainly in the back intake center, I guess you would call it. Um, I focused on intake, so any of the customers who came to drop off donations, I would greet them in the back and then bring in their donations, put them in the area that they were supposed to be at, and ask the customer if they needed a receipt or any verification. I would also focus on sorting. And for sorting, we had three different piles. One was our sell, one was our donation, one was trash. Trash was exclusively for damaged or like unusable items. And then donation were items that we weren't going to sell, but we could send to another donation center. And then obviously sell was the items we were selling. And for the thrift store, the image that they told me that they based their items on was in between a Goodwill and a Ross. They said that they wanted the affordability of a Goodwill, but nicer items, I guess, and a good variety of items as well. And then my last responsibility was obviously stocking the sales floor. So bringing out all the items that I did sort and price and stuff like that. Now, my experience was very meaningful to me, mainly because I just met so many welcoming and genuine people. Um, there were a lot of people who were regular volunteers, so I worked with them constantly. And then there were new people that would come, maybe work, volunteer for a couple days, and then, I won't see them again. But I just met so many people, and I really had a fun time. Not a very outgoing person, and new things and new people are very anxiety inducing for me. So, this was the first time that I did something that I had to put myself out there, and I felt comfortable doing it. And that was because of the people, they were just, again, they were just so welcoming, and I felt safe and comfortable to be me around them, I guess. And I think that was the most memorable thing about my experience, really, was the people that I met. And the most significant thing that I learned there, though, was about how I could still make a difference without seeing the direct results of it. Um, as I explained my responsibilities, I, I didn't work with the clients. I didn't see any of the clients. I didn't work on any of like our big events that the agency offered. But I I was still making a difference, Actually, one of my supervisors, she was constantly just expressing how grateful she was for the volunteers. And she would always tell us that the volunteers really make the agency flow. They wouldn't be able to do everything without the volunteers there to help out. And yeah, I think that really helped me just realize how I was still making a difference without seeing, the direct result of it. And here are my references for everything that I use and all the pictures. And thank you for listening to my presentation.